to Enlightenment of Change on webtalkradio.net. I'm your host, Connie Whitman. As always, thanks so much for joining us this week. Now, I hope as you tune in, I get it, right? Change, that word change kind of throws us for a loop at times. So in order to calm the angst that comes with that word change, I have a free gift for you. It's my communication style assessment. And it's kind of cool because you get two reports. One spotlights your natural communication superpowers. It kind of shines a light on how people perceive your messages. Flip side, you get your lowest score or your biggest blind spot as it relates to communication, which probably is even more impactful from a learning perspective, to have us become even more comfortable with conversations, especially when change is happening around us. So my free gift to you, the link is in the show notes. I hope you enjoy it. The other thing, to help you on your journey of change, whether it's career, in business, it doesn't really matter. I also have a membership site, which is just amazing, filled with amazing people where we support together. So as the tide rides, all of our ships rise together. That too is in the show notes. I'd love for you to come and play with me. You get me twice a month, and that would be really kind of fun, to get to hang out with you personally. So again, in the show notes. Now, my motivational quote today is by Pema Chödrön, and Pema says, "Rejoicing in ordinary things is not sentimental or trite. It actually takes guts." What a great quote, right? It takes guts to find joy in the little mundane things in life. Like, wow, to me, that quote said it all, especially for what our conversation is today. Now, I know I feel like I run from one thing to the next every day. And you know what, even on the weekends, which is not cool. So lately, I've been asking myself as I'm aging, why do I have so much going on all the time? Now, during my entire career in business, I've always been the doer. And it's interesting, as each decade goes by, I'm starting to kind of peel back my own onion and realize that each moment in life is actually super precious. Yet, like you, I believe I find myself at the end of the day noticing that I'm just not pausing enough during the day to appreciate client calls or an email joke that someone sent, or time to run upstairs and grab a bite to eat, right? All of these things we do to ourselves and we don't pause and appreciate. So how do we do this? Well, I'm glad you asked. My amazing guest today is Jacob Aqua. And Jacob is a master's in mindfulness studies candidate, a teacher of cognitively based compassion training, and the co-founder and chief mindfulness officer of Source Wellness. So please help me welcome Jacob to the show. And I am so excited for this conversation, Jacob.
Oh, it's so good to be here. That was a wonderful introduction, and I'm really excited to talk more about mindfulness, DEI, the intersection of those things. And yeah, anything that you're here to ask me today, I'm ready to go.
The thing in your bio that just triggered for me, that, teacher of cognitive based compassion training, that we have to teach training today, is just kind of tragic, because we're, like my intro said, right, we're running. It's about me instead of sharing compassion and making life a heck of a lot more fun, those fun moments that we kind of miss, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how we're caught up in, like you were saying, what's going on internally, where we're caught up in a kind of trap of being separate, when we lose sight of the commonality, the common humanity. And that's really what CBCT teaches. It kind of brings us back to that empathy, that sense of warm-heartedness that we can feel within through things like a nurturing moment meditation, where the very first module, the introductory module, is a nurturing moment where you kind of come back to a person, a place, a thing, something that really helps ground you in what makes you feel safe, what makes you feel nurtured. And from there, we can slowly, through the modules, expand compassion through gratitude, through just a variety of other methods. It's actually very interesting. It's more analytical meditation in some of the later modules. It's some attention stability, so kind of training your attention to be here and now. And then from there, when we're able to be present, we can use our mind as a kind of with like a thought experiment through these analytical meditations to come back to compassion and really kind of train it as a muscle, so that we can be these loving, compassionate beings that we have the potential to be. And it's interesting because not everyone thinks that we can expand and change and grow. It's like, oh, you know, however age I am, this is how I am now. But through, you know, the science of neuroplasticity and other things like that, it's amazing how we can actually change the brain to become more compassionate, to become more empathetic. And things like mindfulness, compassion, meditation, and the CBCT, you know, training can really develop that. So there's a lot there, but it's exciting to hear about it.
It is. And here's, you know, you said a couple of things in there, you know, oh, I am the way I am. I'm too old to change. And I'll just share, right? I turned 60 last year in 2021. I'm actually gonna be 61 soon. But anyway, during COVID, I had been in business 19 years and everything changed, Jacob. And here I was taking online classes and networking and asking questions and meeting people. And I remember going up to my husband. So it's the opposite of what you just described. Every night I would go up exhausted, but excited. And he'd say, how was it? And I say, how have I been in business 19 years? I don't know anything. Like, I'm stupid. It wasn't
Yeah.
stupid. It was just the world had changed and I had to catch up a little bit because technology doesn't come easy to me because I'm an older person, right? I'm not a kid that came out of the womb with an iPhone in their hand. Here's
Right.
the thing. I created marketing plans for myself. Marketing and sales are two very different things. So anybody that heard Jacob say that, oh, I'm too old. It is what it is. I can't, we can all unlearn and relearn because of the neuroplasticity that you just spoke about, Jacob. It's critical that we believe that our minds are powerful and we really do have the power to make the changes. That's what I love about this show is meeting people like you and talking like change is easier than we think if we have a plan, if we have a tool, if we have a methodology, but we don't know what we don't know, blind spots, right? We all have these blind spots. So I love what we're going to talk about today and finding someone like you to kind of peel back the onion of this, because as long as you have a plan, right, you have your course and the modules kind of break it down, but everybody can learn. No, I don't want anyone ever thinking, oh, that's not me. I can't do that. We could do anything we want to. You have to choose to want to do this. I'm curious, how the heck did you come up with this practice? Because you're fairly young.
Mm. Yeah, it was really out of necessity. In college, my sophomore year, I had a very intense experience, so just with mental health and struggles with it. And so, yeah, I had some really intense ups, some really intense downs. I now have, you know, bipolar disorder, and thankfully, I sometimes forget that I have it because I am very stable,
I
which
love
is
it.
a true blessing. I
Yeah.
have, you know, great doctors, great support, great family, medicine, a lot of practices, lifestyle changes, just really have to focus on health and stability, and self-regulation is something that is so important to me. And so I came to mindfulness through these practices and presence, really learning to be radically in the moment. And of course, still have to think about the past to understand and to learn, and we have to plan for the future. But the amount of time that we spend dwelling and identifying super strongly with our thoughts as, you know, I am this thought, or the things going on in our minds aren't always necessarily true. We take them so much as face value.
Mhm.
So just kind of being aware of what's going on internally, noticing, okay, I'm a human being who has thoughts and emotions, instead of I am my thoughts and emotions. And it turns us from these very reactionary beings, these very reactionary people, to people who can really pause, take a breath when we need to, and respond from a place of clarity and love and all the things that we really want to bring into the equation. We can really do so with mindfulness, with compassion. And again, it's simple, but it's not easy. This is a lifetime practice. And
Absolutely.
I've been, you know, probably since 2015, I've been practicing very like intentionally, because again, mindfulness is a wonderful self-regulation tool. If I'm feeling too, you know, hypomanic, or I'm feeling a little bit depressed, or, you know, how can I make adjustments based on what's going on internally, what's going on externally? How can I, you know, move through my life in a way that is very balanced and is going towards that harmony within? And thankfully, I've been very privileged to be able to have a lot of space, time, and opportunity to just reflect and focus on my own health so that I can be a support for others. You can only take people as far as you've gone yourself.
That's
So
right.
it's like, that's kind of something that I've always really wanted to deepen my own practice.
Can I tell you, I am so proud of you. And I don't know if that's worth anything to you, but I'm so proud of you because
Thank
here's the
you.
thing that like you've earned that. Finding that that bipolarness, right, of that manic ups, manics down, and all the in betweens. When you're in college, there is stress on you, right? Financial and academic and all these things. Plus the hormones kind of settle down by then, so you are mentally who you are. But it's real, and I think we don't talk enough about it openly. So number one, I commend you not only for talking about it, for doing something about it. Wow, like that's magic, baby. That's amazing that you've taken pretty freaking tough time in your life and translated that for yourself, which I love. That this is the other thing you said that I loved. I forget sometimes, right? That means that what you're doing is working, you're aware of it, but what you're living your life in joy and prosperity and wonderful things and abundance that's coming towards you, and you're paying it forward by helping other people with whatever their issues are. And here's the other thing too, Jacob, to some extent, right? Yours obviously is a labeled type of a mental health situation, right? With the bipolar. My one son has anxiety, right? They're real. I get that. I think to some extent, we all have levels of mental stressors within our lives. So your tool can help from the very simple, maybe I don't find joy in my life and I go to work every day and it's soul sucking, right? That's, to me, it's a choice to continue to do that. But what are the underlying? I have a mortgage, I have kids in college, I have all these bills to pay that prevent me from living a life of joy. So your tools can help. Okay, so you can't change your job, but at night when you come home, maybe spend 15 minutes and find the joy of the day, whatever that was. And the more we do it, that neuroplasticity changes. So I'm just so proud of you for you and what you've come through, but that you're paying it forward and helping other people. You're amazing and you're young. Like, wow, you still think about how much you have to do, and no pressure with that. Please don't take pressure from that. But you're young and you've had this lesson at such a young age, a profound lesson, and you've had a profound response to it. Like, wow, that's like really owned that beauty. It's amazing. I'm truly proud of you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I mean, that does mean a lot. I know,
Yeah.
we're relatively new friends, I would say, but it
Yes.
does mean a lot to me that you said that. And
Yeah.
I also wanted to incorporate another aspect that I think is really important too, in terms of my practice, just kind of coming more into, that intersection of mindfulness is a major part of my daily practice and my well-being, as well as this focus in these last few years with diversity, equity, and inclusion, and how in my business now that has become kind of the focal point, and how we're bringing mindfulness and wellness practices to the DEI practice, and how that's a very new and relatively cutting edge application of these practices. There are books on these subjects for sure, but in a business setting, we're a very new business doing that. And so Source Wellness is our company, and and coming to this practice has been more recently in the last 2 years, after the tragic murder of George Floyd, and how that really set off this social justice movement. And so for me, I read this book called Me and White Supremacy, which just rocked my world, and kind of showed me a lot that I needed to learn. And again, I still feel like this. I don't know anything, and I'm very privileged. I'm a white man, and so, as well as other privileges. And so just kind of learning how to maneuver through space and how mindfulness can really help me with my practice. And so in my master's program, I'm writing a thesis on how mindfulness practices and compassion practices can help white identifying folks to really work through this process of anti-racism, of the DEI practice, that we can be better allies, we can be better people, we can be, use our privilege for good, instead of just kind of having this sense of white apathy, as it's called, where it's like, okay, it's not comfortable to face a lot of these topics. It's not comfortable to talk about these things, but that's a privilege in and of itself to not have to be able to say, oh, I don't feel like talking about this today. A person of color might not, probably doesn't have that same, privilege. So
Yeah,
I'll stop there for now, but that's
yeah,
something that I
that's
wanted
another
to
whole
bring
right
up.
topic, but I do want to
Yeah.
share. I have a dear friend. His name is Dale Caldwell. Shout out to him. And he believes that through legislation and everything, we can eliminate poverty in this country through entrepreneurship. And I think we have 18 or 20 zones, we call them entrepreneur zones, throughout the country in these lower income areas that we're trying to support. What finances do they need? What education do they need? Because, I have my MBA, right? So we have all of this education that maybe some people don't even know where to look, right? It's a big blind spot. So these
Mm.
zones popping up, we're trying to create these safe containers for them to get education, for them to take whatever their zone of genius is, right? Because we all bring
Yeah.
something amazing to the table. And how can we leverage
Right.
that? And that's his mission, is to, so there's so much intersection with different ways to approach these topics that you mentioned.
Yeah.
So I love that you shared that. So thank you for that. Back to the mindfulness,
Yeah.
which by the way, just one other thing I wanted to comment on is I was teaching my communication style assessment. I use that with my clients, my corporate clients. And one of the gentlemen, he was a peer of mine, was in the class and took it, and we were talking about families and what their family styles are and how can we navigate that better and create more harmony and respect in how we communicate with each other, even those that are very different in how we communicate, how our brains are naturally wired at birth. And at the end, he came over to me. He's a lovely Indian man, and he said to me, I loved the CSA, the communication style. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad. And he said, it's about tolerance, Connie. And I thought, wow, it's a
Mm.
tool to help us meet each other halfway. So we don't judge, but we come from a
Mm.
more tolerance of, oh, that's how they are. Or, oh, that's how their family beliefs were. Or, oh, whatever the revelation is. So what you just said, I think, is so important. The more tools we have in our tool belt that helps us meet people halfway, I think the judgment starts to go down. And that's where we can raise together and support each other through the love and care and respect, is what I say. But exactly what you're saying, the mindfulness creates the compassion, which creates love. And I don't know about you, but I am much happier when I'm being lovey with people than that you have to be this, drop the bomb if somebody messed something up. I approach life honey, not vinegar. So, again, I think we can learn these behaviors. So thank you for that.
Yeah, for sure.
My next question, my friend, what has inspired you? What's been your inspiration? Was your own experience the biggest one, or are there ongoing things for you?
Yeah, my own experience definitely propelled me to just kind of dive deep into a lot of a lot of Buddhist thought, a lot of I went on a reading spree. I read when I took about 10 months off. My first 5 months was pretty intense, depression. And then my next 5 months, when I started to heal and I was feeling a lot better, I read like 25 books. Like I was a madman. And I read a lot on, Buddhism, some books on Hinduism, some new age spirituality, but I just really learned so much about meditation, mindfulness. Some of the teachers that really influenced me, Thich Nhat Hanh, a Vietnamese Zen Buddhist Zen master, really. He passed recently in the last year. He was like 95 or something. He was close friends with Martin Luther King as well. And MLK actually nominated him for a Nobel Peace Prize. So that just a couple of things there, but he was a huge inspiration. He has monasteries set up all over the world. And there's a monastery in Mississippi that is just a home to me. I've been there several times, and it just truly brings peace just thinking about it.
That's wonderful. And we all need these places to go because I know you're in Atlanta, right? I'm in New Jersey, and New Jersey's, it's constant going. There's constant
Yeah.
traffic, the volume of people. It's very hard to unplug. You're going to, when I go to my client in North Jersey, it could take me an hour and 40 minutes. It could take me 2 hours and 40 minutes, right? So
Right.
all of this angst and pressure that's constant, to have a place like you just described is wow. Like that's really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
How did you start? Because you're young again, and I'm not, that is never a derogatory. I think I
Yeah.
find my show, just a couple of sides here, my show is attracting younger listeners. And I am also inspired by your generation because you're courageous enough to start your own businesses and not
Mhm.
like I graduated and you were supposed to get a job with a steady paycheck that had benefits and a 401k that matched, right? That was like, that was it. That was the objective, not find joy. And like, that was never even part of the equation. So
Yeah.
you guys, your generation is stepping out with this courage of, I think I have something here. I want to try it. And if it doesn't work, that's okay. I'll still make a living. I'll do DoorDash or something. How did you start this? And I understand the why, but how did you start it? How did you find those resources? It's amazing.
Yeah. For Source Wellness, we started Marshall Kamor, my business partner, our CEO, and he's my best friend. And we both had lost our jobs at the beginning of COVID. And so this is kind of a COVID baby, our business in a way.
Absolutely.
For me, I had some, investment from just like some something saved up, and we both had some money saved up. So we kind of just put it into the business, and yeah, we're lucky to have that and privileged. And so we really just jumped in. We had that opportunity, and we were asked by a couple companies to run some like mental health and mindfulness workshops. And we kind of just ran with it. Source Wellness was born. And, being a DEIMW company, cultivating belonging and mindfulness and inclusion. So is such a beautiful thing. And it's something that these companies, these Fortune 500 companies, these nonprofits, so many people, everyone wants to feel like they belong. That's such a fundamental and deeply rooted human desire. And in so many of these environments where, systemic racism and, systems of oppression are present, it's a no-brainer that these services are needed. And so we are positioned at a really wonderful place to really provide, these services, these DEI trainings in ways that are just really different. So many of these trainings, if you're in a business and, for example, you go to a DEI training on microaggressions or on implicit bias, in the middle of your workday, you might not really want to do that. And obviously, that's something that I think we all need, but someone might not really feel like this is what they want to do in the middle of their workday when they have a million other things. But when you bring mindfulness, when you bring compassion practices into the equation, it brings a wholeness to it. It brings a holistic experience of, okay, how can I actually cultivate this belonging? How can I connect with my like-minded peers so that we all can really, open our minds and really care about the human-centered approach of, you're a human just like me. We all want to feel love. We all want to feel like we belong. We all want to be cared for on our teams, and we're in the workplace. So yeah, that was a long answer, but that was kind of what I wanted to share.
It's important. And again, it's such a simple formula. You said it before. It's a simple formula, compassion and love, right? To just be human and be our best human self. That's the simplicity of it. Execution, not so easy
Yeah.
because our brains are wired the way they're wired. And we don't even know what some of our beliefs are. And there was a study done, and I share this often on the show, and I share it often in my training and my speaking events too, because the scientists have found through mice that we transmit beliefs through our DNA. So think about this, Jacob, you and I have crap that we're dealing with from when we were 0 to 5, right? And we didn't know what was going on, how we perceived this child's perception of an event, and it became a belief we didn't even know about. So we have that to deal with. They're finding we're going back 14 generations. So I don't know if the dinosaurs were still roaming back then, but we're still running from that saber-toothed tiger, even though we really don't have the saber-toothed tiger. Maybe we have other things symbolically that are the saber-toothed tiger, but you know what I mean? So we have so much that we're dealing with, and we have these filters and biases. I think we don't even know they're there until someone says, like, you read the book and you were like, what? like, holy smokes, I didn't see this shadow side of myself.
Yeah.
And once you know it, you can't unknow it, which is a beautiful thing. You could choose to do nothing about it, but here you chose to say, whoa, how can I make this better? How can I be part of the solution, not just complain about the problem? And I think that's another thing that we do as a society, at least here in the United States. The polarization of our country, and we're not going to get political, guys, I promise, because that's not my jam at all. But the polarization of our country is because of the media and the rhetoric, and because we're forgetting about, whoa, what do we have in common? Not what do we have different? And I think that's that part of that tolerance that gentleman had said to me in my training. So all of this is important. It's real. Mental health is real. And this is the last thing I wanted to comment on, because I do have a lot of corporate clients. They are highly aware also that we have to give aid from the mental health, and mental health is now stress, and it's anxiety, and it's not sleeping at night. All of that is part of that mental health equation. So we think that you have to have schizophrenia or be I know people who have OCD, they're classified accordingly. But that's not just mental health. There's so much more that is coming into the conversation that's really important, because everybody has something they're dealing with. There's stressors everywhere, right?
Absolutely. And I think stress is such a, is like an epidemic, pandemic in and of itself, and something that, like you were saying with the saber-toothed tiger, our sympathetic nervous system, when it's activated for so long, when the stress response, the parasympathetic nervous system is activated, cortisol levels are higher, our fight, flight, freeze response is activated. So that's really what that is. And if that's activated for longer periods of time, it causes so many health issues. And so that's where mindfulness is, in my opinion, so helpful, because it's we can realize, my body is feeling tension in this area, stress in this area. I can loosen up. I can cultivate space around this area. I can slow down. I can nourish myself. I can, even if you have 5 minutes in your day to just meditate, it can make a difference. Like, it has been proven that when you activate the parasympathetic nervous system through mindfulness, through meditation, through breathing, through slowing down, this rest and digest response, the parasympathetic nervous system, it causes us to really find a sense of ease, a sense of comfort within ourselves. And something that I've been kind of just thinking about in my own spiritual practice has been this sense of like running, or like constantly doing, like you were talking about earlier. We feel like we're on the run all the time. It's like, where are we going? Like, obviously we have to create, and we have to do, and we have to make things happen. But at a certain point, it becomes kind of just
busy work,
exhausting. It's too much. And so my job, my purpose here on this earth really is helping people to slow down, to come back to rest, come back to their hearts, to come back to just finding a sense of ease within themselves, whatever that looks like to them. It could mean going out in nature. It could mean taking a bath at night and really slowing down, finding your peace, protecting your peace. It's a really wonderful opportunity to slow down.
I love that you said that too, Jacob, because I think people think meditation, oh, I can't do meditation because my brain moves too much. And I have my older son, like the other day, he just had a long day. He's been putting in a lot of hours. They're just short staffed like everybody else, right? The same thing. And we're going to have dinner within a half hour. And he said, I'll be back. I said, where are you going? Like, we're going to have dinner. He goes, I just have to go for a walk at the park. There's a park, beautiful park down the street. I knew exactly what he was saying. I'm like, cool, go. We'll get dinner ready when you come home. He goes, 15 minutes. I just need 15 minutes. Okay. Ran up, did a quick walk through the woods, right? Came home. He did his little spiritual shower around the trees. He breathed it in. He had a long day on the computer. He didn't have to say more than that. I understood. And I didn't, when he came back, how you doing? We had a great dinner. He was giggling, but we forget, you don't have to sit and eliminate your brain thoughts. Just go for a walk, man. And he just listens to the birds, and he just breathes in the oxygen, and he tries to get his heart rate up. So he's focused on his physical, not on what do I need to do next? But we forget forget to remove ourselves, go into nature is the best place when you have that monkey mind and meditation is hard. Go in nature, man. You'll find you like, right. Your energy just, you find the calm pretty quickly.
Exactly. Yeah, that's such a good point. And something that helps me also is just to know that with meditation and with mindfulness, it's not this, I have to create this meditative state. It's not something I have to achieve.
That's right.
It's already, it's not, I'm going to do meditation. It's be meditative. Like it's a certain kind of energy or a place or state of mind where it's like, it's already here. It's kind of just like easing into what's already here. You don't have to create anything. You don't have to quiet your mind completely. It's not possible to do that because our mind is always going to be active. We want our mind to be thinking. It's a tool. Exactly. But at a certain point, our mind uses us if we're not careful, if we don't have a healthy relationship with our thoughts and emotions. So things like mindfulness can help us to notice, okay, this is something that's occurring within me. How can I just kind of create some space, a little bit of space internally, because that will create all the difference and allow us to kind of ease into this meditative way of being. So that's not just I'm sitting on my mat meditating, I'm sitting on my cushion, my chair, and then the rest of my life is separate. It's you want it to bleed into the rest of your life. You want it to kind of permeate the rest of your life. And so I want to be doing my dishes while I'm like, okay, listen to some music. I'm feeling peaceful. I'm feeling good. I'm in the shower. I'm like, oh, this feels nice. There's so many ways we can meditate. We can bring that state of mind, that state of being into our daily life.
And it's funny because we don't use our sense of touch. Like two things. I'm doing the dishes, the water's running, you have the music playing, the warmth, and you're cleaning. I like washing dishes. By the way, we didn't use my dishwasher for years. My kids thought I was a freak because it was therapeutic for me. It was my time after we ate, little digest, right? Because you're standing and I'm washing the dishes. So it had a purpose for me. The shower is another one, right? I do my shower in the morning. I eliminate energy. I wash the energy that's not serving me away. And I say, all the other energy, you're going to lift me up today, right? All during my shower. I didn't even think about it anymore, but I'm using that sensation, the warmth of the shower, how good it feels, right? When you get that shower in your head and your face, we forget, we think that meditation and mindfulness is sit there with no brain, no brain activity. You're dead if that's what's happening. Okay. We don't want that to happen, certainly. I love you, my friend. I love what you're doing out there. Let's share more Jacob. So if you want more Jacob in your life, I think you do. Go to his website, which is sourcewellness.co. .com is coming. We're not there yet. So sourcewellness.co. If you have a question for Jacob directly, you can email him at JAQUA, the number 0, the number 4 at sourcewellness.co. And he is a delight. Of course, I always ask my guests for something free for you. And he has a free webinar series that you are all welcome to join. I will put that in the show notes. It's a little bit lengthy. So I promise it'll be there. Click go and find Jacob and be part of that webinar series. I think you'll get some wonderful enlightenment and tools and strategies that you could start to implement in your life and also get to know Jacob along the way.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It's been absolutely wonderful. I could talk to you forever. So
I back at you. This is such, it's all, as we were going through and it's like, I better stop talking about that. It's like, that's another whole conversation and that's another whole conversation, but that's human. The more we peel back our onion, the more layers there are more things to talk about, to dissect. And in your case, you're not only commenting on it, but you're creating tools to help people navigate these uncertain waters in life. And guess what? That's life. So that you're trying to provide those tools and strategies to help people. I commend you because we have a lot of complaining, but we need to do more solution stuff. And you're the solution guy. So I loved meeting you. I love your topic. And I'm really proud. I'm really proud of what you're creating. You go get them. You go get them, Tiger.
All right. Thank you so much. You too, Connie. I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure.
All right.
I hope you will all join me weekly as we question, build, and discover together. no matter where you on your journey of change, that I hope my guests and I, like Jacob, our conversation, his tools that he's creating, his free webinar he's offered to you, hopefully it helps you find or maybe deal with the change that you're being affected by, whether you've chosen it or it's been thrust upon you. Hopefully my guests and I provide those tips and strategies for you to just ease into life through just ease and grace. Always. It makes life a heck of a lot more fun too. So Jacob, as always, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for joining me on Enlightenment of Change with me, your host, Connie Whitman on webtalkradio.net. You know, I am truly honored to have you on this journey of change with me. And I continue to hope that I bring wonderful content, wonderful guests to help you on your navigation of change. I love you all, and I will see you next week. Have a great one, everyone. Be inspired. Love you.